The following film is what I want to call the color-coded essay. I suppose for those of you who've worked with this before, this is the essay model I use, which uses Lego blocks in order to highlight the links that need to be in an essay which bring out the answer increasingly. So what I'm going to go to now is the diagrammatic representation of the Lego blocks and the different colours, and look at the different parts before we go on and look at an essay and see where that is. So here it is. Here's our colour-coded diagrammatic representation of an essay, and we're just going to divide it into three parts so we know what we're looking at. The first part is, of course, the introduction. So we can write on the side here, introduction, and we can see the two parts there. And this is always followed by the body of your essay, and we're going to look at that as here, and these are the paragraphs that you use to explain what your evidence is to support your answer. And then finally we have the conclusion. Now this might seem like a group of randomly selected colours which you can see in front of you, but if you look at it you will see a number of links which are very important in conveying the answers or answer to the question that's been asked. So let's have a look. Of course, one of the most important things is the thesis statement, which is an answer to the question in your introduction. But what we see, it's got the colour red, and then we see in each of the paragraphs in the body of your essay, there is also a mini thesis statement, a so-called clincher, and this is similarly an answer to the question. And then in the conclusion we have a link to the thesis statement or an answer to the question yet again, and this is running through the whole essay, ensuring you're not only being relevant but also that you're answering the question, and that everything that you put in your essay, all the evidence you use, that you point out to the examiner, to the person reading it, why you've put it in there and how it supports your answer. Now, let's have a look at a number of other, another important aspect of the essay, the colour coding that I've used, and that relates to the topic sentences. Each paragraph has a topic sentence, and that's the main point you're making. And then what you see at the end of your essay is a summary of your main points. So in other words, a restating of those topic sentences, summarizing your main points. So you're basically saying to the reader, oh yeah, these are the main points I'm making, I'm linking them to the answer, I'm providing you with analysis so you can see that I know what I'm talking about. Now, what I've got for you here is an example of a literary essay which basically sticks to the principles I've just shown you in that colour code, and we've also talked about in the circular essay structure that we can look at. And one of the easiest things for us to look at is we can see the thesis statement that's here, but importantly, and they've been put in bold here, but I'm going to use a yellow pen here to look at the three main points that are made in the essay. And then if we go to the paragraphs, the 3 paragraphs in the body, what you'll see is that there is a topic sentence, number 1, number 2, and number 3, which can be related back to the thesis statement, which is previewing the main points that are used to answer the question. And then similarly, in the conclusion, we see a restatement of these main points yet again. Now they're being reworded, but if we look at the first 2 sentences here, we see that they're being reworded and given a sense of analysis, or the links made to the question, before we come to the final part of the essay, in which we call the type of finisher, which leaves the reader with something to think about, poses a question, brings this together in the form of analysis. And that's one important thing we can see when we're looking at this essay. Of course, we don't just have to stop there looking at the link between the previewing of points in the introduction, the topic sentences, and the restating of those points in the conclusion. We can also look at what is included in the thesis statement in terms of answering the question. Now I'm going to look at that in red. Here we have our thesis statement, but what we have in each of the body paragraphs in the body of the essay is a concluding sentence which takes what has been stated in the thesis statement and expands on it and links it directly to the question. So we've got these 3 important sentences which signal to the reader, oh, this is what it's about. And then again, these main points are being stated, but they're not just being restated, they're being restated in terms that relates them to the question. So once again, we've got that pattern running through of using at the end of each paragraph, there is a conclusion relating it back to the question throughout. The final thing I'd like to briefly touch on is the other information that is provided in this essay. Now, we can put a green line here to look at the background information. This is the attention grabber. This is what gets our reader ready for what he or she is about to read. So that's the first part that brings us in before we're getting the thesis statement. In the body of our essay, in each of the paragraphs, we have something else that is related to information, namely the examples, the supporting details. And in most of the paragraphs, you'll find that you're looking at 3, 4, maybe 5 sentences relating to that. And here we can see them in between the topic sentence and the clincher, where I've highlighted them in blue. So by looking at this structure, which is quite rigid, quite strict in that sense, we're able to follow this to make sure we stay focused, stay relevant, and answer the question. Not only that we return to our original answer, restating it in some way, and then using it to provide some form of analysis.